In the small town of Atchison, Kansas sits a large white house with a wraparound porch that seems straight out of a storybook. But don't be fooled by its seemingly idyllic appearance. This house has a dark secret. In the early 1900s, this house was the home of Helen Viola. Helen had two children, 7-year-old Sallie and 4-year-old Claude. One day, Claude wandered off while playing and was never seen again. Helen and her husband searched frantically for their son, but he was nowhere to be found. Days turned into weeks, and the police eventually concluded that Claude had likely run away from home. But Helen refused to give up hope. She spent the remaining days of her life searching for her son, convinced that he was still out there somewhere. Years later, the house was purchased by another family. But soon strange things started happening. Objects would fly across the room. Doors would slam shut by themselves, and unexplainable scratches and bruises would appear on their bodies. Then they started hearing the sound of children playing in the attic, and the whisper of a little girl who seemed to be calling out for her brother. One day, a new family moved in. They were a young couple named Michael and Dana, and as soon as they stepped inside, they knew this house was different. That's when the hauntings began. They heard footsteps, whispering voices, and saw shadowy figures moving just out of the corner of their eye. But it wasn't until they went to the attic that they realized the source of the paranormal activity. As soon as they entered the attic, the air grew cold and a strong, unpleasant odor filled their nostrils. Suddenly, an old rocking chair began to move back and forth on its own, and then they heard a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Get out! Get out!" Startled, Michael and Dana ran from the attic and didn't stop running until they were far away from the house. When they returned, they brought along some friends to help them investigate. What they discovered was truly shocking. Not only was the attic filled with an overwhelming amount of negative energy, but it was also the site of a brutal murder. In the late 1800s, a young woman named Helen Viola had lived in the house with her two children. But one day her 4-year-old son, Claude, had wandered off and was never seen again. Helen and her husband searched for their son, but he was nowhere to be found. Days turned into weeks, and the police eventually concluded that Claude had likely run away from home. But Helen refused to give up hope. She spent the remaining days of her life searching for her son, convinced that he was still out there somewhere. And it seems that Claude's spirit, along with his sister Sallie, never left the house. To this day, people report seeing the ghost of Claude wandering the halls and playing in the attic. And sometimes they even hear his laughter echoing through the house. But it's not just the children who haunt the halls of the Sallie House. Helen's spirit is said to wander the house at night, searching for her lost son. Visitors have reported seeing her ghost standing at the foot of the bed, or feeling her presence in the room with them. The Sallie House is now open to the public for tours, and those who dare to visit are in for a night they'll never forget. The house has been featured on several paranormal investigation shows, including Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, and each team has come away with some incredible evidence of the supernatural. One investigator even claimed that Sallie's spirit was able to communicate with him, appearing to become angry or frustrated when she was unable to make herself understood. If you're looking for a fun and exciting way to learn more about the history of the Sallie House, I highly recommend signing up for one of their tours. Just be sure to bring a camera and an open mind. You never know what you might capture on camera or what spirits you might encounter. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something new about one of the most haunted houses in America. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for more historical hauntings. Until next time.